God can never tempt anyone. But what God gave us is trials and testing. Everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, you are welcome. Thank you so much for coming to support me. I can't take your support for granted. My returning subscriber, my returning viewers, may God continue to bless you all. If you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe, like, share, and a comment to my video, and always come back to support me. Let us continue growing together. So today I'm going to share there are those things in the Bible, even in this life, we confuse ourselves. Like now, temptation and testing. So some of us, when we are tempted, we confuse temptation with trials, and sometimes we think that now it's God who is bringing all this to me. So today I want to learn something difference between temptations and the trials. How do we confuse these two words? We mistakenly confuse them. When we are tempted, we take it to a trial, and the temptation, we take them as they come from God. And you know, the Bible warns us that God can never tempt anyone, but He tests us. He gives us trial to endure, so that He can take us to a next level. So when we read in the book of James chapter 1 verses 13. So I'm going to share from James chapter 1 verses 13, so that you can know where we misunderstood these two words. So it says, the Bible says, let no one say when he is tempted, I am being tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, and he himself tempts no one. God can never tempt anyone. But what God gave us is trials and testing. But temptations comes from Satan. We can from the Bible we can see. So trials and temptation are the word which we are on to understand, because these words we mistaken them, which God can do and what is not God cannot do. So God can only invite us to endure trials and hardship, but He cannot tempt us. So when we read when we read the Bible, we will see those who went trials and those who faced temptations. So from the example of trials and the testing, which comes from God, is the example is Job. Job was in trials and the testing. So because Satan was knew that, so the thing is that Job was only faithful to God because God has blessed him so much. So God allowed that to happen, to be tested, so that they will see if faithful to God. When Satan went there with his all troubles to Job, but Job stood firm because God was there with him to help him to endure all the pain, all the trials, all the hardship which he was facing. So that is the example of testing and trials. But now temptation are different. Jesus himself was tempted by Satan. So trials are there to help you to endure them, to succeed. But temptations come for us to fail. So we are supposed to be high hope and to ask God to help us, so that we can see when we are tempted and when we are being tested. So God Himself is on the side of trials and testing, but for Satan is there for temptation in order for us to fail. When you see that when Jesus was baptized, after finished the baptism, he went. So when he went, he met Satan. Satan was there to tempt him, do this and this, worship me, throw yourself. So those were temptations from Satan, but Jesus overcome them. So even as we human beings, we Christian, there are those temptations we face. If we are not careful, we fail. But those temptations come from Satan, because Satan, there's something he knew in you, so he wants you to fail, so that he can pull you away from God, but God bring testing, trials, so that you can succeed on those hardship. There is a pressing in heat. So we are supposed to know when we are tested and when we are tempted, because temptation came from greed. When you have greed, that's temptation. When you want to kill someone, that's temptation. When you want to steal from someone, that is Satan tempting you. So you are supposed to know this is temptation, and if I do this, I'm going to fail. So to stand firm in order to succeed. When you are going through challenges, we are, because same Ayub in the Bible, Job in the Bible, those people went trials and hardship. They endured. God was with them to strengthen them so that they can succeed. We can see Joseph. Joseph, that was a sign of testing. He was being tested, but he endured. And as long as he was a successful person, because God was there with him to help him so that he can pass the test in order to achieve the reward. In all cases, we need to turn away from temptations, and we ask God to give us wisdom so that we can understand, so that we can know when we are being tempted, and stand firm so that we can conquer the situation, so that you cannot fall into a trap of Satan, because Satan's aim is to trap you so that you cannot continue to be faithful to God or to do according to the will of the Lord. But when we are being tested by God, God has a reason for it, because there is something which is going to reward you. After all of this testing, all of these trials and hardship you will endure, after you have conquered, you are going to see what God will give you as a reward. Therefore, when we are tempted, we know this is a temptation. If I fail in this, I'm finished. I'm going to be in trouble. So we stand by God. By God's wisdom, let us only trust God and have faith in Him. He will always make a way. When you are going to be tempted, He will. When you stand firm with Him, He cannot allow Satan to tempt you, because He knew that if you are not, you are going to fail. So let us stand to be, when we are tested, when you fail hardship, try to work on it, because that is one way of taking you. God is taking you to next level. But you are now facing this so that you can learn a lot of things from it. So when you feel that you want to do something which is not right, try to pull away from those temptations, because they will destroy you. They are going to put you into trouble. So remember that God is not tempting us while, but the only thing God do to us is to test us, to give us a test while He is preparing to take us to the next level. So for those of us who say that it is devil is what the devil, the work of the devil. Temptation is the work of the devil. So learn from it and be careful when you see that, to recognize the temptation which is trapping you, in order to be at peace all the time. And God, when He's God with you, everything will be fine. Satan will be defeated. If Jesus was tempted, who are you? But we need to be careful, and we need to ask God to help us wisdom on how to escape every kind of temptation which we may face in this life, and help us to strengthen us so that we can endure trials and temptation, trials and testing, so that we can achieve what God has made to us, so that we can succeed in it. Thank you so much. God bless you all.